following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds where the sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this June the 2nd, 2023. Thank you for making us a part of your morning each and every day here on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live, and as well, remember, we are part of Belly Up Sports Media Network and bellyupsports.com. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great sports articles, from race cars to college football to hockey, baseball, and everything in between. And also check out all the other great podcasts that are available at bellyupsports.com and Belly Up Media. Today's show is brought to you by Yeti. Click on our link in the show description and get yourself the highest quality coolers, drinkware, and apparel at Yeti. Yeti, built for the wild. At this point in the Major League Baseball season, you pretty much are what your record says you are, unless you can go on some kind of a magical tear through the season. We'll get to a team who did that in half a second, but right now you got to think, what is wrong with the Philadelphia Phillies? Friend of the show, Aaron from Brutally Honest Sports, he put that question up on the Twitter machine. So I did a little bit of a deep dive on the Philadelphia Phillies, what's happening with them this season. And at 25-31, they're second last in the National League East right now, only one game ahead of the lowly Washington Nationals, who were projected to lose over 100 games this season. So only one game ahead of a team that's only supposed to win 60 games. You got to have a little bit of concern of what's going on. This is a Phillies team that went out to the World Series last year. Remarkable run that they had, but they went to the World Series last year only to lose in 6 games. Those no good, dirty, rotten Houston Astros. I have forgiven, but I will never forget the Houston Astros did. But the fresh off a sweep, 2 division rivals, the New York Metropolitans this past week. It's not looking good in Phillies land. You don't know what the problem is there, why it went so sideways. You look at this team, especially after they didn't think they would find themselves in a position like this, especially after signing a guy like Trey Turner, who one of the highest paid shortstops in Major League history. You thought that the contract wouldn't age well, that the older it got and everything else, but the first few years you thought it would be okay. This bad contract didn't even get a chance to age. It's been bad since day one. It hasn't worked out. $300 million deal over 11 years. Trey Turner has not been the guy that it's early in a contract. Things can happen. A change of scenery can take a bit to get used to when you get to a new contract, and the wallet gets a little bit heavier. You have higher expectations, so you squeeze the bat a little harder, and you might make a few more errors at second base or shortstop there, and that's been the case with Turner so far. But hitting only .236 with 5 home runs and 15 RBIs is quite concerning for a guy who was supposed to get on base a lot, for a guy to set up the tables for that Phillies lineup, who's supposed to hit a little bit better than they have been. It hasn't been a good start for Trey Turner and the Phillies with a .279 on base percentage. That's completely not acceptable for a guy who's supposed to get on base a ton and set the table for the guys like Carl Schwarber and JT Realmuto to start knocking some guys in. And Harper, we'll get to him in half a second too. It's an odd situation the Phillies find themselves in, but if you think back just 1 year ago and to the day, actually, it's kind of why I got on this little deep dive of the Phillies. 1 year ago today, because the season started a little bit later because the labor strife that the Major League Baseball had to start the season off. But on this date last year, the Philadelphia Phillies were 22-29. They parted ways with Joe Girardi, ex-Yankee manager Joe Girardi, ex-Yankees. So I got to get my Yankee Phil in there. Ex-Yankees catcher Joe Girardi. They parted ways with him. So maybe there isn't a reason to panic right now, because there was a reason to panic last year. But the Phillies fans, they saw this last year. Will they get the same thing this year? 1 year ago today, the baseball lifer Rob Thompson, he got the job as the manager. We got a chance to manage a Major League team for the first time in his long baseball life, and took them on a magical run of 65-46. Wild card win over the St. Louis Cardinals, a division series win over the rival Atlanta Braves, and then an NLCS victory over a San Diego team who was poised to win a world championship last year. There's something wrong with San Diego Padres too. Maybe we'll talk about them tomorrow on 1420 in the morning. But it's something it's really odd to see a team do the exact same thing a year later with essentially should have been a better lineup. Yes, Harper was out with the Tommy John surgery and everything else, and he did come back. He's been back for about a month now. He's got 3 or 4 home runs, hitting 306, I think it is, and he's going to make that team a lot better down the next half of the baseball season, or next quarter of the baseball season, or third of the baseball season, whatever you math junkies. It's probably the third of the season, Brent. You're better at math than that, but you got to think that this team is going to get a little bit better as the season progresses. Problem that you got Kyle Schwarber, who did improve last year when they got rid of Girardi. He hit a lot better. But right now, he has 13 home runs, and that's great. That's big numbers in any part of the season at this juncture. But he's only hitting 160 right now, and that's quite a bit concerning to an old baseball guy like me. I don't care what the analytics guys say, what the nerds say, what the Moneyball guys say, or it's not even a Moneyball thing, because Moneyball says you gotta get on base. And I don't care. Batting average to me is very important. I don't care what anybody says. A batting average is very important, because no matter what they say, if you get on base, that means you're not getting out, and that means that you're producing more base runners. That means you are doing the things right. You have a chance to score more runs. The more you're on base, the higher your batting average is, the better off your team is, and you're going to score more runs. And the key to winning baseball games is, guess what, kids? It's scoring more runs. So when you have a batting average of 160, that's completely not acceptable. And you have a lot of teams that are falling behind with the analytics thing. Yes, you need some analytics to make the game go right. There are some things that I agree with, and some other things I don't agree with. But having a guy with a 160 on base percentage isn't going to do it for your baseball team. A guy that's supposed to drive in runs, get on base, and everything else. Like I said, he has the 13 home runs, but everything else from Kyle Schwarber is not acceptable, and it's a thing that they have to address quickly, because it's just one of those things. Maybe when Harper starts feeling a little bit better, he'll get a few more. Schwarber can sit on the bench a little bit and be a DH kind of a situation, because that's where he should be, and not playing in the outfield at all. You got to get on base. You got to produce less outs. You'll score more runs. When you score more runs, you win ball games. It's simple math, kids. It's just the way the game of baseball works. And it's one thing I really disagree with the nerds and the analytics darlings of the world out there, that you do need to that expected run production thing, or whatever those stats are. You got to get on base. You got to get hits. And Schwarber's not been doing it. Trey Turner's not been doing it, and JT Realmuto's not been doing it. In the last 15 days, those three combined are a 11, 14 for 128. That's a pretty bad batting average right there. I mean, that's Redlinsky at stats. That's just not going to get it done. You got a guy hitting 140 and 100 and 079, and your three big guns that are coming off the bench, and a lot of money sitting there. It isn't good. And then when you have a pitching staff where only Zach Wheeler's been the guy who's lived up to expectations, he's pitching very well. He's getting your six and a half innings per, or 6 1/3 innings per start. So that's something that you want to see. His ERA is up around 3.5, I think it is. But then for the rest of them, Aaron Nole's been okay, but he's not getting much length. He's only been getting about 5, and that's a big thing. The rest of the guys are about 4 1/3 in that Phillies lineup, or that Phillies starting rotation. And when you have a guy like Craig Kimbrell closing the games, and an aging Craig Kimbrell, a guy who hasn't been very good for a little bit, they got him at $10 million this year to be their closer. And Kimbrell's not as good as he once was. And he'll, to a man, how he's still a closer in the big leagues. I don't understand that, how someone gave him that job to say, yeah, you're the closer of a Major League Baseball team who was poised to do some damage in the National League East, that he just isn't getting it done on the back end. And when your starters aren't giving you length, and you got to use your bullpen a lot more, it hurts your team's chance to win. And I don't think that Craig Kimbrell's the guy that should be closing games for a Major League team anymore. There's got to be somebody out there, because you get a lot of guys, like starters are a different breed now than they used to be. Now you get starters, wins and losses don't matter a whole bunch anymore. Starters are just outs eaters, right? That's what they are. And they're supposed to just get you to your bullpen, because your bullpen, every team's pretty much got a bullpen that's electric. Guys with heavy heavy arms who throw the ball really hard. Everybody's throwing 98, 99 now. So if you can get to your bullpen with some wins and some runs ahead, you have a chance to win baseball games. That's what the Philadelphia Phillies aren't doing. They're not scoring runs. They're not giving themselves a chance to win games. Their hitters aren't hitting and everything else. And whether they can go on a magical run like they went from this date forward last year, who knows? But you just got to think that in that division, the Atlanta Braves, they just keep rolling no matter what. I don't know how they do it year in, year out, but they just keep rolling. They're going to get better. The Mets are playing a little bit better baseball right now. Scherzer pitched a great game yesterday. They're going to keep rolling a little bit, and you never know what's going to happen out west, the wild card spots, because all of a sudden the Arizona Diamondbacks look like they're a real baseball team. And like I said before, you at this point in the season, after Memorial Day down in the States, your record is who you are, and to make a big jump with like they did last year might be a bit of a stretch. Like I can't see the Philly faithful being too optimistic with their hopes and dreams of getting to a World Series once again. They had pretty high hopes once they signed Trey Turner last year or during the offseason, and that was maybe the piece that they needed to get over the hump and win a World Series for the first time since 2008, I think it was, and they got the 2009 World Series and lost to the New York Yankees there, in which was a decent World Series for them. But those Phillies teams were off the good and poised to win, and the surprise run last year that they got, maybe that was a bit of a hindrance and thought they were a baseball team. Sometimes winning looks sometimes can cure all, but sometimes winning can mask some problems that you might have internally, and you can fall into a hot streak, and it can put a lipstick on a pig, I guess you could say. So you don't know if going to a world championship. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Obviously, we have a chance to win a world championship, but sometimes, like I said, it can mask a lot of problems, and there's problems with that Phillies team right now, and I don't know if they have the guns right now to overcome what they got. The thing is, they have a lot of games left in the division. They're starting tonight with the lowly Washington Nationals, who they're only one game ahead of, but they have a chance to win some ball games now and do some damage, and they have a chance in the division to pick up some space. But when you're 7-8 games back at this state in the game, it's pretty tough. I mean, the Yankees are 6 out. I don't expect them to take over the division at all, but I expect them to have a wild card spot. But like the National League, the wild card race is pretty tight right now with the Phillies way down the rank. And when you guys start jumping 6 or 7 teams to get into that spot, it can be pretty tough. Do I expect the Phillies to improve their season, get to a 500 record? Yeah, 500 is close to making a run at a wild card spot, but the way they're hitting the ball right now, it's tough. And if Schwarber doesn't start picking it up a little bit, you hate to put it all on one guy's shoulders, but if you put it on Schwarber, Turner, and JT Realmuto, you got to think that without those 3 guys going, they're going to be in a heap of trouble, and they got to start getting some length out of their starters. And that's one thing that every team to a man will tell you that you got to do to be successful in the Major League Baseball season. And right now, they're just not going to be that team. There is a chance that they could do it. I don't expect the Phillies to get out of this funk. To come out of a funk 2 years in a row like this, that would be to catch lightning in a bottle once is tough. To do it twice is nearly impossible. So is the Philly season over? No. Is it looking bad? Yeah, it's looking really bad. So who knows what's gonna happen in Philly land? Anyways, there's my rant for the day, and we'll do a little deep dive on the San Diego Padres and what their problem is. I think I know what it is, and it starts with a T and ends with a Tatis. I'll just say it. I think Fernando Tatis is a hindrance to that ball club there in San Diego, and they probably should have found a way to put more. What did he blame his positive test on last year? Was Patricia or something for his hair or some damn thing, wasn't it? I can't remember, but we'll do a little deep dive on the San Diego Padres tomorrow and see what's going on with that team and how come they are venturing not even close to a first place situation like they should have been. Anyways, let's talk some more. On this day in 1987, the Seattle Mariners drafted Ken Griffey Jr., first overall in the Major League Baseball amateur draft out of Archbishop Moeller High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. Griffey became arguably the greatest player in Mariners franchise history. The kid, as he was nicknamed, had one of the sweetest swings in baseball history, played in 22 Major League Baseball seasons with 630 home runs, 1,836 RBIs with a .284 .304 career batting average with stops in Seattle, Cincinnati, and Chicago. A little cup of tea with the White Sox there. It wasn't very long. Hall of Fame in 2016 with 99.3% of the votes. Whoever didn't vote for that man should lose his voting eligibility. Griffey is 100% Hall of Famer, first ballot. Why one or two people wouldn't have voted for Griffey? That's an absolute crime. We've talked about that before on 1420 in the morning and 1420 podcast, how these guys just say, well, he's not a first ballot. If Griffey's not a first 100% ballot Hall of Famer, who is? It's ridiculous that guy would vote that way. Anyways, Griffey played in 13 All-Star games in his career, and he won the MVP of the American League in 1997. And happy birthday, happy 58th birthday to retired NHL'er and fellow Notre Dame Hound Russ Courtnall, born on this day in 1965 in Duncan, BC. Courtnall played in 1,029 NHL games after being drafted in the first round, 7th overall to Toronto in the 1983 draft. Courtnall played in 16 National Hockey League seasons with a 297 goals, 447 assists for 744 points, with stops in Toronto, Montreal, Minnesota / Dallas, Vancouver, the Rangers, and finished things up in 1999 with the Los Angeles Kings. Be sure you guys check out our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe today. It helps us climb the ranks. Go to Yeti.com and click on our link and get yourself a cooler. Yeti, born into the wild or whatever. Built for the wild is what Yeti is. Coolers, and everybody knows what a Yeti, all the drinkware and everything have that. So make sure you go and get some quality stuff from Yeti today and support the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. And listen to podcasts throughout the weekend. Tell people about the show, and let them know they should listen to podcasts more often, because we get out there, we do this for your entertainment purposes. And like I said, yes, sometimes it's a bit of a kick in the pill. Sometimes you don't get the response you want, but we keep plugging away, and we enjoy all the support that you guys give us on a daily basis. See you guys tomorrow morning. Dave's show that we did with Dave last night will be out later on today, so make sure you guys tune into that one. It was a good one. We got a little bit deeper into a subject about Pride Week and everything else, but anyways, we'll talk about that another day. Anyways, thanks for making us a part of your morning each and every morning here at 1420 in the morning. And remember, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have a good day, folks. We'll talk to you tomorrow. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. More beer with the sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.